Okay guys, welcome back. We were just on our way to solving the next puzzle in the game, which is this code-based puzzle here. We don't actually need to solve it now. We do get the answer to it, the straight answer to it later on in the game, but it is possible to solve this now with a little bit of guesswork and making some assumptions. So if we assume that this sign is giving us directions, we know from previous adventure games and RPGs that directions often come in the form of go right 6 squares, go back 3 squares and that kind of thing. So on that basis we can actually solve this. There's nothing around here that actually tells us to make those assumptions, but if you want to solve this now, those are the kind of assumptions you have to make. So based on that, the square we're on right here, we can't actually move forward or back because we're trapped in between. So R must either mean left or right, and E must mean 1, because we can only go left 1 square, or we can only go right 1 square. So if this would mean right, and this would mean 1, it would put us at this square right here. And from here, we can either go back to the left, or we can go backwards. Now assuming that if it sends us to the right, it wouldn't send us back in the opposite direction again, because that would be a little bit pointless. Then uhu could mean backwards, but if it does, we can only go backwards 1 square. And we've already determined that E means 1, therefore ko can't mean 1 as well, therefore uhu doesn't mean backwards. So if we make the assumption AR means go left, we end up here. Then again, from the point we are, we can either go straight back the way we came, which seems a little bit pointless, or we can assume that uhu means forward or back. And again, we've got a number to go in that isn't 1. So from the square we're on here, we can only go back 1 square. So that kind of means that uhu doesn't mean back, otherwise that would have to be an E. So uhu must mean forward. Then once we've gone forward a certain number of squares, it wants us to go left 1 square again. And to do that, we'd have to end up either here, here, or here. Now if we look at the sign again, after we've gone forward a certain number of squares, it's asking us to go left and then forward again. And it's asking us to go forward 1 square. So once we've gone left 1, we have to be able to go forward again, which means here. Or we end up here going forward, we go left, and then we go forward, which is here. But we can't go all the way forward to this position right here, because once we go left, we can't go forward again. So effectively, the puzzle is guiding us to either the square we're stood on now, which means dig here, or it's guiding us to the square we're on now, which means dig here. So if we dig in each of these positions, there's no way of knowing which one it is, to be honest. We end up with nothing there, and we end up with the chest here with a lock on it that we can't actually open yet. But that's effectively what that means. Left 1, forward 3 as it happens, left 1, forward 1, and if we do that, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 1, and dig in the square in front of us, we find the chest. So we can add a note onto this saying it's locked, and we can remove the note we placed on the previous one. And now that we've solved this puzzle, if you actually write down what those symbols mean, you'll need them later on. If you don't solve this one, you're going to have massive difficulty solving the next one, as there's even more variables involved in the second one that you find. But if, as it happens, you don't find, or you don't solve any of them, then it doesn't really matter because you get given the solution later in the game, so it doesn't really matter. It just gives you access to that chest a little bit earlier, which has a couple of nice items in it. So after that, I can head down into the next dungeon, which is the only place left to go, apart from heading into this new area. So it's quite dark, so we'll need a new torch. That one's burnt out as well. We may as well eat some food while we're here. There's a couple of guys that are still hungry. So a little bit of food to carry us over. And now we can start to cast a few spells. We may as well collect the torches for now because Jasmin can't cast any spells yet. Or can't cast a light spell until she gets concentration level 2. So this guy will be appearing throughout the game. He's like the Island Master. I believe that's his title. And we've got a few rat enemies now to face. These guys can still be quite dangerous in like a stand-up kind of fight, so it's best to kite them back a little bit. Now we're in this square room, we can kind of kite them in circles if we need to. Don't be afraid of having a quick rest after each fight. There's really no shortage of food in this game. Unless you move at a very slow pace and you've got maybe 2 or 3 Minotaurs in your team, you shouldn't be coming close to running out of food. Another knife throwing guy here, so let's bring him towards us. Pretty good. He's dropped a throwing knife, but we don't have any throwing champions on the team, so we're not going to bother using that. So there's the way to go, but I think there's a couple of items behind here before we're actually done. So we've got a salted sausage. Oliver can carry that. A leather cap. We need light armour proficiency to do that. So I think that's actually better for Nico. And we'll give this to Galden for now, as the extra energy will come in useful when he starts using special attacks. And this dropped off an enemy, so we'll be getting a few more of these late in the game. So we can either chuck it, I'll give it to Jasmin in the back row. She'll take a big hit in evasion, but it doesn't really matter yet. It's not like this cap we've got here is much use. Protection +1. And we get a scroll of shield, which can be useful. I'll keep hold of that one for now. And I'll take the torch. So there is no turning back. Great. So we've got a switch on the wall here to close the pit. But for now we'll have a quick trip down the pit. And have a little bit of an explore. Feels like someone's injured their feet. And then we have a switch on the wall here, which reveals this room. And we get some pellets, which we don't need, and a few fire bombs, which might come in handy later on. It's like Jasmin's injured her feet, so we'll give her a potion to cure the injury. Soon enough we'll actually be finding a rope to enable us to travel down those pits without getting injured. Makes a big change really. It's a bit of a gamble jumping down and potentially breaking your legs. Now we can close the door there and carry on. There's a couple of ways to go. We'll go this way for now. So we're heading into this room. The bloodroot cap can be useful to pick up, and some more useless pellets. And then we get into the 4 plagues puzzle room, where you need to work out what to place into each of these alcoves. One item solves each of these mini riddles. So for example, to beat cold, you have to put in a piece of clothing. And then famine, you put in a piece of food. What do we have here? You get these items back at the end, so it doesn't really matter what you put in. This one is battle, so it needs a weapon. This rapier is not going to be any use, so we'll actually get rid of that here and keep it in. And disease is cured by a health potion. And we get the door opening up, which gives us a spider silk cloak. So it's evasion with a hitting strength. Kind of more useful to Nico. Being a rogue, he'll want a bit more evasion, and because his weapons scale with dex, it won't be a big hit to his strength either. So we can wear that, and the straight up evasion cloak, we can give that to Oliver. We also have a potion of willpower. Now really, we kind of want Galden to have this, because the more energy he has, the more special attacks he'll be able to use. Once he actually gets a weapon he can special attack with. So we'll give the willpower potions to our backline fighter. And we'll nick the torch and get out of here. And now we have this way is the only way to go. So for now, we can use this healing crystal to heal up. And we can crack on this way for a bit. That's the trickster. We'll be seeing more of him as the game goes on. But for now he's locked himself behind a gate. That one there. So let's head this way. The nest. So we can assume we're going to meet a lot of rats in here. Just have to grind our way through. We can always close the door if we start to get battered. Quick rest here. We don't want Nico to embarrass himself and die again. Usually we could back off and dance around in the room, but we don't want to make sure. We want to make sure that we don't let any more rats in and get surrounded. So we can have a quick rest between attempts. Nico's getting a bit beaten up there, so we can just have a quick trip back to the healing crystal. Oops, wrong way. When you've got a healing crystal nearby, you don't really want to be using too many of your healing potions. another one. You can really feel the benefit of the extra bit of accuracy we have now. So Jasmin gained a level. So we're pretty close to maxing alchemy now. At this point we can actually craft stronger potions, which is going to be a big boost to the team. The rest of the guys not too close to leveling up yet. Alright, let's see how many more we have to kill. That's a new alchemy ingredient we've got there, mudwort. We get told to be quick here. Not quite fast enough, but we don't want to get this guy behind us, so we kill him first. And we get plenty of fish as well. It's best if the most energy potions here will go with Galden, as he'll be using special attacks to actually get access to all this stuff. There's not much chance of Oliver actually dying here, as long as we keep kiting around. Have a short rest. So that's our third power gem. So we're well on our way there now. If we actually had some poison magic, you can cast poison through these bars, but the damage over time is so slow that it's kind of barely worth using. Okay, so we're done with that little kind of mini area now. So we'll just stock up on this food. We'll make our stand against this guy here, then we can always kite him backwards a little bit. Okay, that's enough for this episode. I'll record the next one pretty quickly. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in a couple of minutes of my time at least.